to our agenda, and again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. We're a few minutes late, but I'd like to welcome everyone to the 5th video meeting. These have been a lot of fun and things, and I'd like to welcome all the other members from all the different clubs that are joining us today. It's great that we can span the country with these meetings, and you should also personally consider being a presenter. We have lots of different formats and different to present here, and I know all of you have something of interest to us. If you have any feedback when you register, put it in the registration this link here, and tell us what you think. Our next meeting is December 19th, and I'll just talk briefly now about what our protocol is. We have a prearranged time. I work it out with the presenters ahead of time, so we kind of know how many minutes you should spend, and the presenter can ask that you can just ask him as the presenter goes. Just unmute, ask your question, go back on mute, and I'll try to keep the time here and let you know when time is up, but please stay on mute if you are not asking a question. So today's the following here, and we're going to do something a little different today. We haven't done before. We're going to do a live museum tour with Steve Kushman, the president of the California Historical Radio Society, and they have a fantastic museum. And Steve's going to do kind of a live walkthrough with some video clips to kind of take care of some of the Wi-Fi dead spots in the museum. And so we'll be doing that right off the bat here. And then you can see that Steve Muchow and Bob Ballad are going to talk about some radios that they have. And then I'll just make some brief comments on the 100-year anniversary of public AM broadcasting. So after the and Tom Kleinschmidt will host that little section, and then we'll go to open. So without further ado, I will introduce Steve Kushman. Steve, if you could share your screen and take over.
Let's see what you've got. Here I am. Can we, should I share my screen now, or shall I share my screen when I'm ready to present the videos?
We can see you now, so if you're
Okay.
speaking from your camera, that's fine, and you can share your screen when you do the video.
Okay, good. I'm Steve Kushman. I'm president of California Historical Radio Society. I started collecting radios in about 1988. Was always a radio junkie as a kid with the crystal sets and the shortwave radios and stuff. I've been president of this organization since 1996, and every time I go to say I've had enough, I feel hands on my shoulders from my board of directors saying, no, you can't go now. So I'm still here, and we were for years and years and years, like some of you maybe, just sort of parking lot organizations where we would have swap meets and events and stuff in parking lots. In 2003, we were able to get a real home. We were allowed to use the old KRE radio station building here at the foot of the last lagoon in Berkeley, at Aquatic Park, it's called. They had 2 operating transmitters there, but the building itself was not used. So we were allowed to take it over, restore it, and maintain it for 10 years. And that's where we really get started being more than a parking lot organization. Now we had a place. So we started collecting things, and you know how that could be. We were there for 10 years, and we were ready to buy the building and the land, allowing the transmitters to remain. And we raised close to $1 million to buy it. And then at the end, we were disallowed to buy it because of a bankruptcy in the parent company. It had nothing to do with us. And by the way, they asked us to leave after accumulating a collection for 10 years and being in a building. So we encouraged everybody to keep their pledges with us, and we shopped around. And we found the original telephone building in Alameda, California. And we have been here since early 2014. And this is our home. We bought it cash outright. Nobody's going to kick us out of here. And we can really go on to establish ourselves as a permanent member of the community and the museum community, the radio collectors community, the historians community, the broadcast community. So we have it all here. I'll get into some more stuff. We got 4 videos to watch. Unfortunately, the video I wanted to shoot, I'm going to try to do live down the hall here in our main gallery, but I need to get this information into my iPad. So maybe while one of these videos are playing or sometime later, we can get my iPad hooked up. But let me go ahead and play you the first video. And let's see what we can do here. Share. Share your screen. Yes. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me quit system preferences. Let's put this away. Let's put this away. And we're gonna go to my iCloud. Hold on a second here. Bear with me. I had it all lined up before. Any questions while I'm trying to work this thing out here? Uh-oh, my Zoom went away. Okay, are you guys still with me?
We are still here.
All right, bear with me here. Might have to do it this way. Here we go. Looking for my iCloud. And of course, I'm nervous because none of this seems to be working well for me. iCloud, there we go. Here we come. All right. All right. This is okay.
Is the audience seeing his screen share or just his video, his camera?
Are you seeing
Just
everything there?
camera. Just your camera.
Okay, well, let me get up to this and
Yeah, you have to start sharing.
okay, let me get back onto Zoom.
You're in Zoom. You need
Okay,
to.
let me back to meeting. I want to make sure I'm sharing. Okay, now we share screen. Okay. And it says where I want to share Safari. Share screen.
Make sure
Keeps
you're
asking
sharing
me
the
to open
audio.
my system preferences. Zoom US. Okay.
You have to select the monitor and then click share.
Okay. I get desktop. So if I can do that, you can share my desktop right now. Can you see my desktop?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
Okay. Now let's get rid of this. Okay. And we can, I am sharing. Let's get rid of this thing here. Okay. All right. The first place we're going to start is the exterior of the place.
Is there sound with this video?
Yes. Let's see if you can hear it. Here we go. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
Hello. Welcome to lovely Alameda,
You hear it.
California, home of the
Yes, you can hear?
Historical Radio Society. For those of you who don't know about Alameda, it's a small island, a fairly good sized island in San Francisco Bay. And we're about 20 minutes east of San Francisco. And it's a nice ride here. And
Make it full screen.
our building. We call it CHRS Radio Central. The building was built in 1900 as the first
we'll get there.
telephone building in Alameda. So it's had a long history of being a telephone
I
company.
got some other stuff here. I'll get it.
Church for many years, and then various preschools and charter schools. We bought the building in 2013 after we were unceremoniously
Oh, sorry.
ejected from our first home at the KRE radio station building in Berkeley. We were there on a temporary basis. This building we purchased, and nobody will kick us out here. We're in the parking lot that we share with the Central Baptist Church across the street there. We needed off-street parking to have our museum here. And at one time we bought this from a school, and the school had playground equipment in the backyard, and we traded the playground equipment for use of the parking lot. And it works out very well for swap meets and other such events. The building is, like I say, this part of it that you're looking at here was 1900. The new addition here was built in 1926. It's a flat brick wall now because there was a fire in the property I'm standing in 1978, and that was the repair. So let's go to the back of the building, and I'm going to apologize for the place looking like a mess, but progress is messy sometimes. This is our backyard, and this is under this overhang on regular days when our volunteers are present. On Saturdays, we have our big work day here, and we all get together here for lunch, and it's really a wonderful opportunity to socialize with everybody. This part of the yard is going to become by bricks and grab your name and stuff. We're now at our wood shop. This is a building that we built the kit, and it's 40 by 12, I believe. And we'll go inside here and just take a quick look in here. The wood shop was built totally by our volunteers. We have everything you could want here. The furniture was built by our volunteers. All the tools have been donated, except the DeWalt, which we bought. It's very nice. Some of my carpentry hobby is in use here. But we can do anything we want here as far as building displays, as far as building, working on radios and, restoring radio cabinets, and anything we want to do, we can do in this shop. Very well equipped. We only have 7,300 square feet in this building, and we ran out of room very, very quickly. So one of our members was kind enough to donate 2 40-foot containers for us, and we're going to see those next. But in the meantime, one of the things we did was had the whole back of the building here retrofitted for earthquake proof, and new stucco, new windows, new steel stairway. We wanted this thing to last. So like I say, we're going to go down and take a quick look at our sales container, we call it. We're going to do this really quickly. This is broadcasting equipment. Now everything we're going to see here is wrong way. Sorry, guys. There we go. Everything you see here is stuff that we have for sale. It's either been restored or it's being passed on as material that we cannot use. Our goal is to keep it out of the flea market. And usually we sell this to keep these out of the landfill. We do try to take them to the flea market. And, So, because we want to keep this stuff out of the landfill and put it into the hands of people that could use it. So all this is stuff we have for sale. The next container is what we call the keeper shed, and there's a lot of items in there that are museum pieces and are not quite sorted yet, but these are pieces that would be rotated in and out of our museum exhibits, which you'll see in a little bit. And, you know, we have everything from radios to TVs to everything we could want. You know, here's an old RCA studio speaker that's been banged up by somebody, and we're going to refurbish it and put it in our control room. So let's walk past this way. And I know we're already 6 minutes into this thing, so I'll give you one more look at the goods, and I'm going to sign off when we get to the end here. And the next thing we'll see is something on the inside of the building. But that's the exterior and our grounds. And if anybody has any questions, we can take them down. Thanks.
Okay, I will stop sharing. And here I am again. So does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Steve, are those containers waterproof?
Oh yes, those are refurbished containers. They're waterproof. The ceilings are insulated. The doors were an addition, and we have a great member who helped us buy this building, and that was really our storage solution. We were paying for storage in other areas. We were in other, you know, one in El Cerrito, one down on the peninsula, but this gets us away from all of our monthly storage payments.
That's great. Well, I think we've got the technical bugs worked out, so this is working out well, Steve, so please proceed.
Okay, if there's no questions about the building or the outside or anything like that, we'll go to the next one and let's see what happens. Let's see. Oh, this one is going to go down, down, and let's go to this one. Why not? You guys ready? Here we go.
Well, here we are in the front of Radio Central. Our last project was removing a big front stairway here, putting in smaller stairways and a handicap lift. It is a 2-story building, half a story underground, and we didn't want to get sued by the people who look for places to sue. This is the front of the building. From the inside, we will be restoring that to its original beauty. We're going to go downstairs now. This is the lower floor of Radio Central. And this is our utility room and our sump system and a lot of storage and junk. Look, it's a Philco Predicta just sitting here on the floor. Our handicap lift, our under the stairs storage. And as we look in this great hallway here, what we're going to see first is the proposed conference area. When these tables aren't full of radios, we hold our conferences here. We have some really nice early equipment back there on these shelves. We can take the tables away, put 20 chairs out here, and have a small classroom. Again, some of our wireless equipment. As we turn around, well, look, it's Alfred Hitchcock listening to a transistor radio. I'll explain that later. A lot of these pictures that you see here were given to us by the San Francisco airport after their radio exhibit. Here is where television rears its ugly head. This is our TV display, and our curator's not here, but each and every one of these sets works, including the 1951 Dumont Royal Sovereign, largest black and white tube ever made at 30 inches, and the 1929 mechanical scanning disc TV, the Heathkit television, the porthole TV, the pilot TV, the head-end rack that was built by one of our members and our curator, another Philco Predicta, and General Electric projection television. So what you see here is, again, pretty much everything works, and we have a great interest in television from our group of television collectors. As we move next door to the next area, this area is going to become the Hall of Communications. And in this area, we'll find ship-to-shore, we'll find aircraft, we'll find military, commercial communications, and everything to do with point-to-point radios. And here's some of our communication gear. Let's whip around here and go into our library past the big fan. This library is probably the largest communications library west of the Mississippi. Where we are here, this is all ham radio related stuff here. Let's back out wider and we'll walk down here a little bit. This is all ham radio, the QSTs, and all the rest of the ham radio magazines and stuff. We have the proceedings of the Institute of Radio Engineers from the 30s and the very, very, very early days here. We have magazines, many radio and broadcasting magazines, all put in order by our volunteers. We'll move down again, radio collecting magazines, more electronics and radio magazines. As we come down here, we got a lot of broadcasting magazines and books and ephemera. Same over here for we have all the collectors' manuals and references that we could want. Our front desk, our librarian hasn't been here a while because of the COVID. As we look in the front here, these are all novels and things having to do with radio, a lot of them from the World War II era and the spy era. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit of our downstairs. Let's go quickly to the back and we'll pick up in a moment.
Okay, stop share. Any questions about that segment and anything you have seen there?
I was very pleased to see in your TV exhibit, there's a little 5-inch black and white set up in the corner. I was the lead engineer on that TV from Zenith.
Oh, very cool. Very good. Yeah, we've got the TV part of our organization is active, and they love working on the sets and making it all work. I'm sorry I didn't have a curator here. There's just too much to fire up and warm up, and maybe we can look at TV in another time. But you know, it's radio with pictures, especially that the 1929 scanning disc television actually has a Crosley AM radio in the base of it. And what they were doing is sending out experimenter signals in 29 between the frequencies, and that's where the television signal was coming out. Because of the bandwidth, it was only 40 lines, and it was pretty crude, but it worked. So that was actually radio with pictures. Okay, any more questions? Okay, we're now going to go, we'll be on the same floor here, and I'm just going to go, we're going to be a little farther back in the building. And here we go again. Not that one. Oh, let's take this one.
Welcome to W6CF. This is our ham radio station, and W6CF was the call letters owned by Jim Maxwell, who was a cheese in the ARRL West Coast, and we acquired his call sign and his station, and his library that you just saw was from Jim Maxwell. We have two modern stations, and we will be getting on the air with three vintage rigs. All of our equipment is in just superior shape here. It's very, very nice. All kept in very good order. Everything you see is donated. Pretty much all the equipment you see in the room, in the building that you're going to be seeing here is donated gear. This is my dog Zoe, who is, we call her the radio dog. She is very sweet and a good companion. Over here is our office. This is pretty new. We have not had an office before. I don't think it takes much explanation, but we now have an office. As we walk back here, our utility room, our drugstore tube tester that everybody should have. One of the bathrooms that we inherited from the school, and we remodeled this bathroom totally in period. As we go, this is our middle stairway, which will go up in a little bit. This is the new addition, as they call it. This part of the building was built in 1926. And I'll get some lights on here. The first thing we have is the tube vault. In here are probably a lot of our 30,000 vacuum tubes that we have in the building. This is where they're tested and organized in this area. As we come around here, we have our compact mobile storage, and we were able to get a lot of storage in a small space. The first aisle here is our media, tape, records, and electrical transcriptions. As we go down here and open this thing up, the next thing we have is some of the keepers, the wood keepers of the CHRS radio collection. On this side, we have some of the newer stuff, the transistors. This is all keeper material, and some of our wonderful plastic sets that are all part of our fine collection. So that's what's happening in this aisle. Lots of different things here for the collection. Coming down this one. These are a lot of tube testers. Anybody need a tube tester? We have extra. We have collected more than 20 tube testers over the years, and these guys are ready to be checked out and sold. So if you know anybody looking for a tester, we got them. We got all kinds of them. So this is some of our antique gear that you're looking at here. Stuff from the 20s, the late teens, the 20s, and all the typical, the typical wireless in the boxes, the radiolas, and that's what's going on in this aisle. As we continue down, these are the people that donated the $32,000 to buy this unit that you're looking at here. More of the CHRS collection. We're looking at a lot of modern shortwave gear, the commercial Zenith TOs, and we get into some of our better shortwave gear. A lot of ham radio stuff we start to see down here. Again, lots and lots of ham radio gear. And this is all part of our collection. We got a couple of more to go. This whole row is radios that were mostly going to the landfill. And we have a guy that has been going crazy during the COVID and restoring and restoring and restoring. And generally we sell these radios at our auctions, at the local flea market, at antique fairs, but they're not going right now because we're not selling. And a lot of these radios were cracked and broken. They're now fixed. because a lot of them are later radios that would have gone into the landfills because the traditional collectors don't want them. We fix them up, put in Bluetooth or a wire, and the millennials want an antique for their kitchen to play their music through. Ain't it nice? Here's some of our television storage and some more miscellaneous down here. And one more. This is our selection of hi-fi gear. And this is what we're doing right now. We are right now putting together these tags and starting to inventory our collection. We have not done that before. We have a committee that's doing that with the QR code. So you can put your phone up to it and it'll take you right to the database. So this is our hi-fi gear that we have decided to keep for the collection and for CHRS. And if you need a speaker, we got some speakers. So these have not been sorted yet, but if you're looking for something specific, you know, give us a holler. I'm sure we have it. Coming over here is our kitchen, and this was left to us by the school, and we have fixed it up and we use it on a regular basis to prepare food for our Saturday volunteer work days, and which we haven't had in a while. And this is our incoming area. Everything you see here is new stuff that has come in and has to be triaged. It either goes into the sales shed or it goes into the CHRS collection. But one way or another, it'll either get repaired, resold, reused, because we try to keep everything out of the landfill.
Okay. Any questions? We
Yeah,
saw a lot of stuff there.
I got a question. Where do I get one of those
Sure.
sliding racks you got there? That was pretty nifty.
That's called compact mobile storage, and it's really a commercial unit. And many libraries and warehouses have those. You know, you saw our library, which was a bunch of permanent bookcases, and you need to have foot space between them, so you lose a lot of space.
That was real
Compact
clever.
mobile storage, you only have one space, and you can roll all of those at once. There's
Yeah.
many companies that make them.
Pretty slick.
Yeah, we can, and like I say, that one was about $32,000. So it's something that we had to put out for, and we decided we needed because our building is not big enough, and we needed storage.
Well, I don't think my wife's going to let me do that.
I don't think so. It's not really a garage unit, so, or a basement unit. So,
Very
any
good. Very good.
any other questions? Okay. Let's do another. Let's get up here again. And we've seen that one. Let's go back here. And we've seen this one. And this is going to be the last one we're going to see. Unfortunately, the ones I wanted to get for you, we can still, if we can hook up my iPad, I'm going to walk into the other rooms and show you. But here's one more video that's already been shot.
Okay, let's go upstairs and we'll take a look at the top part of our building. This is going up our other main stairway here. And what you can see is the walls full of logos and posters and stuff from our Bay Area radio stations. Oh, look over here. There's Doc Harrell and in the doing the first broadcasts from San Jose Calling in 1909. You can see he's holding a slide rule in his hand. How many people today know what that is? You guys know. All right, let's go up the stairs some more. And now we're on the top floor of the building, and this is our main gallery, which we are going to get into in a little bit. But before that, let's come around. This is our ADA bathroom that we have to get all up to specifications. And we'll take one more look at our nice, oh, I bumped in the wall of our nice lobby with all of its fine radio station logos. Now we will go into the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame. CHRS acquired the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame some years ago when it was online only. And we took it over because it was sort of floundering, and we have turned it into a real place. So this is our Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame gallery. And it was sort of built to look like an old-time studio. If you can notice that, it's got the acoustic treatment on the walls and some old stuff in it. And we're actually going to use this room as a studio and as the Hall of Fame gallery. Here's our nice Victrola tabletop model, which fits onto this beautiful record cabinet base. They could have been sold together, but they were separate. And one of our guys did a beautiful job on refinishing and restoring it. Here's a very early Western Electric audio board and some very early microphones. Some of the posters our chairman, Mike Adams, has been doing about radio and about where it started and how it all began. Zenith Cobramatic and one of our Electro Voice Regency speakers. And no studio should be without an organ, and this is our Hammond M3 organ. Our little sound system, when we want to hear modern music through the room, is a really nice Sansui G8000. And no place should be without a Scott. And here is our Scott Philharmonic showing all this wonderful chrome. The radio that Mike Adams rolled into the program he did for NPR some years ago. Our NBC studio microphone. And as we swing by here, it's our Zenith Walton set on top of the other speaker. Going up, this is one of our studio speakers that was refurbished, and we made a custom bass for it. There is our studio. Here are some of our really good microphones. The RCA 44BX with the KNBC NBC flag on it. That came from a local station here. The Turner carbon button microphone with the Western Electric element. And over here we have an RCA 77 DX with the matte finish used in television, probably hung in the rafters there for sound effects and stuff as not to attract light. That's why I had a matte finish. Over here are our KNBC KPO RCA Ranger chime machines. There were two of these, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. This one is serial number 2, and it was used at 420 Taylor Street, the West Coast version of NBC's Radio City. We built this wonderful base for it, mounted the clock with it, and refurbished it totally inside and out. Took off the front plate so you can see how it works. And I'm going to get close in here, and we'll fire it up. Again. So we've all heard those chimes 100,000 times, and that's what made the noise. And this will be hooked up to our little system, so it'll play through our house PA system. Over here is the studio tower top from KJAZ radio, which was in Alameda here, and this tower was on top of the Bel Air building in San Francisco. We have it now. look, it's two Gilligan's Island radios. These little Packard bells there was a handle added to them and an antenna added to them, and they were prominent on the Gilligan's Island show. Some great memorabilia and promotional advertising stuff from local radio stations and more posters. And this clock up here from KMPX, the story is that clock was carried out of the building in 1968 when the KMPX disc jockeys went on strike, and Tom Donahue carried that clock out of the building. That was donated to us by Ben Fung Torres. Coming down here, there's some great stuff. A nice old 50s 45 player, the RCA Victor stereo cartridge sound system, which didn't last very long. Another RCA, a nice B&O down below that, and some more posters from our Hall of Fame stations. So let's go ahead and head back this way, and we'll head right into our radio control room. This we're going to be calling KCHR, K California Historical Radio. And this room was built from scratch with all vintage equipment, a couple of pieces of new equipment. And this serves two purposes. One part of this is a true to form 1958-ish radio control room. We have a Gates Dualux board here. We have two RCA C70 turntables, a couple of cartridge machines, and the room is about 95% hooked up and working right now. We're going to swing around, and no little radio station should be without our transmitter. And this is our Collins transmitter. Let's get it turned on. Look inside. So we have simulated our transmitter to work. Look down there. And there is the modulation tubes. And you can see as I speak that things are glowing and changing, and the meter is running up there. So everything in this room will work. And what we see over here is what we call our audio transfer service, where you can bring in 1/4-inch tape, cassettes, electrical transcriptions, 78, 33s, wire recordings, broadcast cartridges, 16-inch logger reels, and we will digitize anything for you. We also have a recording lathe, in case you want to cut a record. So we're going to offer this service to the public, and this is our source rack of everything we'll be offering. Our wire recorder is going to sit right in that little hole, and this is a great Otari machine that we're using mainly for doing our transfers. A great Ampex 354, which goes with our studio setup. So there you have it, and we will talk to you in a little bit.
There's something else. What I think I neglected to tell you in that version, because I did it twice. In the old Hall of Fame at our KRE building, it was a kind of a room like that, and the walls were full of pictures of all of our Hall of Fame people and the Hall of Fame radio stations and all of that. This time we're doing it a little differently. If you saw those 3 giant screens when we first walked into that room, those screens will have all the heads and the pictures of our 209 members in the Hall of Fame, and they'll sort of float by. And then you can sit on the general manager's couch from KRE across the room with an iPad, select anybody you want from the Hall of Fame. Their picture will fly full in the middle, their text will come up next to them, and their audio will play. So that's our new, the Hall of Fame for the 21st century. And I think maybe now is the time to tell you, as you've noticed, we got lots of radios and equipment and gear, you know, from the radio side out. What we discovered is that radio collectors, I don't need to tell you guys, we got no hair, gray hair, and we have a very limited audience for what we do in preserving radio history. One of the ways that our group has tried to transition from a parking lot collectors group to a truly historical radio society is that we have, since we got the Hall of Fame, we have been reaching out to the broadcasters, because we all represent and present the radios and the sound that comes out of them and the technology that makes radio. But we should really consider what comes out of the speakers. And that is a whole other industry, that is a whole other community that ties very well into what we're doing. So what we have done to boost the membership and our outreach is to reach out to the broadcasters in our community by having the Hall of Fame, by being participates in a social group we have here called the Broadcast Legends, which is another group that we work with. And a lot of these broadcasters are, you know, re-energizing our radio collectors. Some of them are radio collectors, but there's a whole segment of people there, and a lot of them, because they're broadcasting and they're still working, are younger. So that's one good thing. And I somehow reach out to their local broadcast community and bring them to the, you know, to the radio community, bring them in, because they don't know about it, they will find interest in us, and they open up whole new areas. Oh, well, my uncle has a garage full of stuff, or we're cleaning out the station here and we have equipment for you, or it's a win-win everywhere. So if your town has got Broadcasting Hall of Fame, or a sort of a legends thing where the old broadcasters get together, find some way to reach out to them and try to bring them into your organization, because it really has made a difference, and it turns you into more of not just about the gear, but the history of radio itself, which is one encompassing umbrella. So, questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
When you fired up that transmitter, was it just in coasting status, or was it
We took
broadcasting?
that transmitter and we said to ourselves, here's our little room, and let's make the tubes glow.
Oh.
25 kilowatts
Oh,
of
wow.
transformer would be in that box heating
Wow.
up that room. So what we did, we have a guy who is a wizard with LEDs,
Oh.
and we reconfigured that transmitter to work just like the real deal, but it's all LEDs. You press the button, he put in a relay to make the click. You notice the tubes will heat up. When you turn it off, the tubes will cool down. And
Yeah.
so that's all LEDs. And
Did a good job.
yeah. It's it really is very realistic, and but no heat. So that's what that's going to be doing.
Okay.
I
Thank
have a
you.
question.
Yes,
How many members do you have?
we have approximately 400 members, and members from coast to coast, and it's $30 a year as a membership. And I meant to bring it here. I'll show you later. We put out 2 wonderful high-class glossy journals every year. And our membership is, like I say, about 400 people. And locally, our core group here around the building and around Radio Central, we have about, I would say, 35 members here. And every weekend when the COVID isn't happening, we get between 12 and 25 volunteers every Saturday to work in the building, either to work on the building or to work on radios and or to transcribe stuff. We have a great crew here, and they're very passionate, and we are so fortunate that we own this building. And our membership is quite supportive. Our funding is only from donations and sales when we have them and when we can have them. So like I say, 400 or so members, and that stays pretty constant. It drifts up and down.
Okay.
Steve, when you were showing that last video, there were underneath the microphones, there were some good looking consoles. There was a cylindrical one and sort of an Art Deco one to the right of it. What are those?
Yeah, there were, I think, 2 Philcos out there, and the cylindrical one is actually mine. I had never seen one before, and it came up for sale, and I bought it. And it's a Motorola, and the top does open up, and there is a turntable in the top of it. And
I thought it was a Motorola 9R. I wasn't sure.
yeah, and I got it on long-term loan to the museum here because it fits better here than in my house. So
I got another one. I
Yes.
think that that chime machine that you guys put together,
yes,
built that bass and all, that was a beautiful job you did. Whoever
Thank
does
you.
your cabinetry work or whatever that adds on to the appearance of that equipment is amazing.
yeah. We actually went to we build stuff, and we were going to put it in a rack, and we thought it was such a special piece. We needed to do something special for it, and we actually went out and had the base you saw is hard resin, is plastic with a with the rough coat on it. But that was all done professionally. Although our guys did go into the machine, clean it out, refurbish it, make sure it works, change the tube, and put it in there. There's a timer on the back for power. If we walk out and forget it, it'll turn off by itself. And it was such a special piece that we wanted to do something special for it. We built the logo, and that panel comes off in the front to expose the powered speaker behind it. So
Well, you got a beautiful display there. That's all I gotta say.
thank you. We're proud of it. We're proud of a lot of stuff we do here because it's I don't know what the count is, but I don't think there are too many people too many groups that own their own buildings. And so we feel very, very fortunate to own our own building. I notice our time is coming. My time is coming to an end here. I still have a giant room to show you, our main gallery and our repair shop. We can do it 2 ways. We can try to hook up my iPad now, but I know you guys got a lot on your plate. So maybe what we can do is have me back another time, and we can explore the rest of the building. And that's up to you guys.
I think we've got about 30 minutes left in our presentation area in our time slots here.
Okay. Well,
so we could accommodate you, but maybe what you could do is we have a polling question to put out to our members right now. And Matt, if you could do that now while you're out, just taking your iPad out to your big room, and then you can do a brief walk through that room. That would be great.
Tom, the problem is with the iPad, it's not set up. I got to get the meeting number, and I got to get the passcode and all that junk into it. So I don't want to waste our group time doing that. So maybe have me back in next month, and I'll do the last part of the tour in about half an hour. We can get through the rest of it. but I don't want to
Right,
waste
right.
your time screwing with my iPad here.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say it would be a waste of time, but we do have time to consume here. But so I appreciate that offer, and maybe we'll do that here in the next couple of meetings. But I would like to say that I'm really impressed to the max with this museum, Steve, and I guess I've put it on my bucket list that, when I'm able to travel again without concerns, I'm going to try to get out there and see that. That's just, it's one of the things I want to do.
It's a great place, and it really, the camaraderie here is really, really fine because everybody here is really passionate. We have a behind me. I don't know if you can. Oh, if you can look back through that, you can't see it, but through that lighted window there is our radio repair shop. We have, and restoration shop. We have 6 bench positions, and generally, like I say, when COVID is not here, they are full. And guys are working on their own gear. They're working on the museum gear. We take in some repairs from the outside. And one of the best things we do in our shop is we have what we call clinics. So you'll be able to, if you're working on a radio at home or something and having problems with it, you bring it into one of our clinics. You'll stand with one of our experts. You'll learn how to fix it. You'll fix it together. And probably 3 or 4 people are standing behind you watching. And there's about 2 or 3 of these stations happening at once. And we do teach radio repair. We do teach radio history. And one of the things we want to become part of here is the STEM programs, so we can get some educational grants. And we've sort of broadened our perspective, not just to include radio, but now we're calling ourselves the history of radio and communications, because you can't just stop with radio. We got a lot of kids who come into the museum here, and we got to give tours. And some of these young people, this is the way I start. I go, "What's this?" Oh, look at that. There's a husky on there. I say, "What's this?" And they'll say, "It's your phone." And I'll say, "What if I was to tell you that this was a radio and this is why?" And I start out with this and I work backwards. And so that's what we want to do. But because we've come as far as the phone, we need to, keep up on, put more modern communications into our repertoire of history here.
Yeah, that's great. You guys have a fantastic museum, a huge club, a society, if you want to call it that. That's just a really great setup you have there. And I want to thank you for taking the time today to show us what you could. And I realize there's more to be seen. So
now in the part that's more to be seen, that's the part that's really the biggest room. And because nothing's been happening there, it's the dirtiest and messiest room in the building, and that in the shop. And I'd like to get those nice and cleaned up before we put them on TV.
okay,
So
well,
we'll do that. We'll do that for next time.
Okay, well, that's a great plan to have, Steve. And with that, there's no further questions for Steve. We'll have Steve sign off, and we'll move to our next presentation. But before we do that, Matt's going to put up some polling questions for the attendees of the meeting here. So thank you very much, Steve.
Sure. Just let me say, if anybody's interested in what we're doing, chrsradio.com. Check us out.
There you go. Can we see this now?
Yes.
Am I getting my photos up? Let me, okay, well, I have a radio. See if that'll pull up. I have a radio here that it's actually one that came from our family. It's a I'm not seeing my picture. Well, the picture's not coming out. There it is. Okay, this is an Aeriola Senior, which is radio that was produced by Westinghouse. You can see the logo on it there. In the early 1920s. Now, originally this belonged.
You can't see it on the screen.
You can't see it?
No, you must have shared the wrong app or something.
What have I got? Let's see. What do I have to do? Stop video. What's going on?
If you share the whole screen instead of just sharing the app, then we'll see it.
Yeah, is that gonna? Not coming up.
May need to double click it.
Yeah, let's see where.
Yeah, try double clicking to pull up the picture viewer.
Oh. Well, I've gotten nowhere with this.
Just first click 2 times on the picture you want to see.
Yeah.
To make it big. There you go.
There. Now we got it. Is that visible now?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Right. Well, this radio is an Aeriola Senior. Now, what brought this to mind was in 1920, KDKA broadcast the election returns. In 1920, the Harding-Cox election. This was the first broadcast by a commercial station. Actually, it was sort of an attempt to broadcast. KDKA is the call letters, but they actually hadn't gotten their commercial license yet. It was done as an experimental broadcast under a basically what was an amateur radio call signal, but Westinghouse took this on as an idea to sell radios. Now, originally, I thought this radio was one that might have been used for that type of reception. Turns out that's not the case. The last patent date on the radio, I don't know whether you can see it from there. I guess not. But it's 5/10/21. So this radio wasn't even patented until after the broadcast, just to get some perspective on it. This particular radio belonged to my mother's uncle. He had a farm in western Pennsylvania on Camp Run, which is about 35 miles northwest of Pittsburgh. So he wasn't that far from KDKA. Like I said, this radio was not actually built until after that broadcast. The patent date is 6 months after the broadcast, so the radio had to have been built somewhat later than that, probably. Anyway, what it is a single tube regenerative receiver that was basically a radio from let's see if I can get this over. a radio that was produced by Westinghouse as their first commercial product. Now, back to the photos here. If I can pick up another photo. I got good information on this radio from a book which was published called Radio Enters the Home. That was an RCA. It was an RCA promotional book. It was done in 1921. That was the idea was that RCA was going to sell radios, Westinghouse and both Westinghouse and okay, now there's the book. Westinghouse and GE radios were the ones that they were trying to sell. And there's that showing up. Radio Enters the Home.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This is the promotion book. This is actually a reprint of it that was produced somewhat later, recently. Anyway, what I wanted to do was get the radio to work. Now, let's see if I can get back to my screen now. I'll stop sharing now. See if I can get back to my. How do I get back to my? I have to turn off the share, I guess.
We can still see you, but if you turn off the share, it'll you'll be able to see the group.
Yeah. Stop share. Okay. Now, am I showing up there?
Yes.
Okay. What I wanted to do was demonstrate how the thing works. It's a one-tube set. It was set to use what was called a WD-11 tube. I have a WD-11, but unfortunately the filament is open on it, so it doesn't work. That's the case with most WD-11s, I think. But my radio itself, I've replaced. There's an adapter here that I got from. Actually, I picked it up at Radio Fast from Mr. Smith. D.P. Smith from Olney, Illinois, built a set of radio adapters for the WD-11 so that you can replace it with a 1T4, which is a fairly recent miniature version of the WD-11. Or I shouldn't say that. It's a fairly recent version of a 1-volt filament tube. Now, what I'm going to do is set up the radio. I've got it wired up now. What we have here is the radio with its various connections. There's an antenna on the one side, and then there's the sequences. There's a filament battery goes here. That's a 1.5 volt battery for the filament, and then beyond that there's a B plus battery, which is in this case 3 9-volt batteries in series. Now I'll hook it up. And what I'm going to do, I wasn't able to get it into the computer directly, so what I'm going to do is use an audio connection. You should be able to hear the radio now playing, and as I tune through, you'll notice that we get different stations. Let's see if I can.
$3.50 an hour, right? It's more like $350 an hour. I mean, you guys. I'm on the credit side. How to far side, economically does offer return. So, first of all, the 48-yard line. Excellent field position for Justin Fields. Well, really, the playbook's open, right? You can have some mistakes when you start on the 52-yard.
Well, that's sufficient, I think. What we're getting is 3 different stations at once. This doesn't have much selectivity. So basically the radio works pretty well. But it doesn't have much selectivity, and it doesn't have a whole lot of a whole lot of gain on it. Using a separate audio amplifier, I can get all the gain we need, but the radio itself works with headphones, and that's the way it was set up to go. It's curious, this radio, like I said, belonged to my mother's uncle, who lived on a farm in Pennsylvania. Must have purchased this radio about 1923. One of the very first radios available, obviously. But this was the only radio they ever owned. It was still in place and functioning in the mid 1950s when I was a boy and visited them. We actually turned it on and listened to it. By that time, of course, it was a bit old. It was about 30 years old, which is not a terribly long time now that I've gotten a little older. I've got some radios that are older than 30 years in my house right now. But this one, they never got another radio after this. They obviously by mid-1950s, radios had progressed considerably since this design, and it was never replaced. They were quite satisfied with how it worked. I don't quite know why. Anyway, we got it after my uncle died. My dad found it, and he realized that this was his first radio. He lived in Pittsburgh and was a young kid when, or I shouldn't say that. He was 16 years old in 1920. The broadcast went off. I asked him about it, and he probably didn't hear the original KDKA broadcast. Later, he got into radio quite heavily and had this radio, this WD11 tube working for him. I should mention I have another radio here. I'll turn the camera around so we can see it. This is one of the other Westinghouse radios. It's called an RC. Can we see that now? That's the radio there. The Westinghouse RC was the more advanced version of a radio receiver. It used O1 tubes rather than the WD11s. A little bit more modern version of it. Okay, well, I think that covers it pretty well. Let's see. Should I send it back to you now? Okay.
Well, let's see if we have any questions for you, Bill.
Yeah, questions.
No questions for Bill, huh?
Okay.
Well, that's pretty cool radio, and the backstory with about your family is fascinating. When we put this topic on the agenda and we had a conversation, and did a little research on that 1920 KDKA. Turns out a lot of people are celebrating that, and in particular, some people in Pittsburgh. And so I put the link if you want to see some more info on this. Hang on one second here. Let's see if I can share my screen here. You guys seeing that?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So as Bill mentioned at the beginning of his presentation about KDKA going on the air on election day 1920, they were putting out the election results, and some of the research I found said they had a whopping 100 watts of power. And that station's still on the air today. And some of the research I found, there's this 4-hour YouTube video that I didn't have time to watch, but I watched the beginning of it. It's fascinating, and it shows the first few years of KDKA and the technology of that era. So if you want, I could put this link in the chat. Can I, Matt? Is that possible, Matt?
Oh, I can't do it. You have to.
Tom,
I mean,
I
I
can
can
send
do
that
that.
out.
Yeah,
Tom,
just paste it in the chat box for all.
Okay, if anybody's interested, I'll do that.
Tom, I'm
Okay.
going to send out a post-meeting email to everybody, which will include the CHRS link and the KDKA link as well.
Okay, okay. Let me find the chat window, and I'll just throw it out there right now, and we'll double check that.
Yeah, I looked at that video, and it's really pretty good. It covers a lot about the KDKA broadcast.
Okay, so I will go back to the second slide here, which talks about some interesting facts about that time in our history and how radio really was coming into the forefront. And that particular election was kind of unique, and that was the first one that women could vote due to the 19th Amendment. And also there were some pretty famous guys in that election running against each other. 3 future presidents were in that election: Harding, Coolidge, and Roosevelt. And you can see the vote count there was 16 million to 9 million, and there was about 106 million people in the country, according to the Census Bureau. And the thing about Harding was that he was the first president to actually speak on the radio. And he was also the first one to own a radio and have one installed in the White House. That would be a fascinating research project to find out what model radio that was. I didn't see any inkling of that, but that would be an interesting research project to find that out. Unfortunately, Harding died in 1923 while he was still in office, and Coolidge took over, and he was the first president to start using the radio and regularly. And he delivered his State of the Union address, and up and down the East Coast, and even as far as Dallas, people heard his address. So that was 1923 was the start of radio starting to get across the country. So some interesting facts. And I thought I'd pass that along. So thank you, Bill, for sharing your story about the Aeriola. And I received an email right before 10 o'clock, and so I didn't see it until just now. But Steve Muchow had an emergency pop up, so he is unable to present today. And so unfortunately, we're not going to hear about his Transitol AM radio. So hope everything's okay there. The presentation portion of our Zoom meeting. What we do next is we talk about items for sale. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Tom Kleinschmidt, who will walk us through that. Tom?